Welcome to NCIX Tech Tips. Today's episode is actually very exciting because a lot of the time, I know on this show we focus on super high-end, raw kind of hardware that not everyone can afford. We're going to be showing you how much incredible value you can get out of a Radeon 7850 Power Edition from MSI. Now the focus today is on the 7850 Power Edition for one big reason, and that's what's behind me here. We have full support for triple over voltage on this particular graphics card, which means you are unlocking its full potential in terms of overclocking. So the card's actually in front of me here, although they're actually under the wrong boxes, but you can blame our new assistant Diesel for that, so he's got them mixed around incorrectly. They both have twin Frozer coolers, and because it's a Power Edition, we were able to achieve some pretty phenomenal performance. So overclocking, remember guys, is never a guarantee, but if you install MSI Afterburner, whether you're using an MSI graphics card or not, all you've got to do is adjust the voltages, adjust the dials, test for stability, and you get extra performance out of your video card. Now, Radeon 7800 series cards generally fall around that 200 to 250 plus kind of a price point. So our 7850 Power Edition is available for under 200 bucks right now, and the 7870 Hawk is actually just over 250. So when we show you guys what kind of performance we can squeeze out of this card, I think you'll be pretty impressed. They have similar feature sets, however, because they are using very similar GPUs. So you have full support for AMD Eyefinity technology with multiple displays. You've also got both of them using the latest 28 nanometer manufacturing process, which means incredibly power efficient performance in DirectX 11 titles. They're both fully PCI Express 3 ready, and both are fully Crossfire ready as well, although it should be noted that both of these cards are compatible with two-way Crossfire only and not three or four-way setups because they only have a single Crossfire bridge. Now, if we take a closer look at the Radeon 7850 Power Edition, you can actually find a lot of really cool stuff on this card. So one is it's using the latest twin Frozer cooler design from MSI, which means you've got multiple heat pipes, you've got dual propeller blade fans, and you have their new dust removal technology, which means the fans will spin the opposite way to blow dust out of the heatsink before turning around and actually cooling the card for a few seconds upon power up. It also has a heat spreader / card stabilizer on the top, so this is just a piece of metal that keeps it from putting undue stress on the PCI Express slot when it's installed in your system. It also has your usual outputs, so you've got DVI, HDMI, and 2 mini display ports, and that's how you're going to get that support for Eyefinity. Now, in terms of overclocking results, if I talk a lot about this, I got to tell you guys what we managed to get. So on the core, we got 1.3 gigahertz. On our 7850 Power Edition, on the memory, we got 1450 megahertz. So what that means is our performance, even at stock speeds with the stock factory overclock on the 7850, was pretty darn close to our 7870. And once we really started to turn up the clock speeds, depending on what the bottleneck was in the particular game we were running, we are seeing some pretty big performance improvements. Now, the performance of these cards can sometimes be pretty similar given the difference in price, and you'll see that once we overclock the 7850, it really draws even with the 7870 in many cases. So we've only ran a couple benchmarks this time around. We've got Battlefield 3 at 1080p with ultra settings, and comparing it to its older brother, the 7850 performs about 20% slower in this game at its default speed. Remember, these are both factory overclocked cards, but once we overclock the 7850, it draws neck and neck with the 7870. So if you're looking to squeeze a little bit of extra value out of your purchase, it's not a bad way to go. We are also going to check out the performance in, there we go, Crysis 2. So this is 1080p with ultra settings, and you can see that in this case, they performed very similarly until we really cranked up the clock speed on the 7850. And then we got about an 8% difference compared to the 7870 at its default settings. So these are very, very playable settings. So yes, for only a couple $100, you can get very playable settings in very modern, very intensive games at 1080p. If you did want to push much higher resolution, such as in a surround configuration, you're going to want to start looking at these cards' bigger brothers, the 7950 or 7970. With their 3 gig frame buffers, as well as their more powerful GPUs, they're definitely more suitable for higher resolution operation and even higher frame rates than these ones. Thank you for checking out this episode of NCIX Tech Tips, and don't forget to subscribe.